The biggest poison in us is regret.
Bad decisions, hasty decisions, too fast, and affects the next 20 years of your life because you made the wrong decision. What makes us make these fast decisions? Fear?
Let the fear of regret fuel you to take action today, now.
Be the best. Lifelong personal development requires tremendous dedication, discipline, and willpower. It is often the case that we know what we need to do, but we lack the courage to take the risks. Instead, we make excuses for inaction.
When people can walk away from you, let them walk. When people can walk away from you, let them walk.
The great thing about excuses is that no matter what happens, excuses are always there waiting to be used. But the downside of excuses is that nobody really believes them. If you make excuses, they're going to know it and they're going to think less of you. But if you refuse to rely on excuses, people are going to know that too, and they'll admire you for it.
You need large amounts of self-discipline to deal courageously with all the fear-inducing events of your life. Courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend. Often, fear is necessary to preserve life, prevent injury, and guard against financial mistakes.
I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, calling you, caring about you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk.
If you ask people what they regret, especially as they get older, what they generally report is things not done. So they don't regret so much mistakes they've made, although of course people obviously regret mistakes they've made as well. So they don't exactly regret sins of commission, right? Errors that they've actively made. They torment themselves for opportunities that had presented themselves that they did not, let's say, exploit or engage in.
The regret we feel for things that we've done, though intent, only lasts a short period of time. But the regret that we feel for things that we missed out on, that can extend throughout a lifetime. Because most of us are scared, and we choose to lead an easy life. And by doing so, we start to rack up those regrets. But there is a solution. You have to be willing to be bold.
You have a great life in front of you, but your great life is in front of you. It's not behind you. What you did back there ain't got nothing to do with what God got for you. What you did back there was learn the lessons to get you to where you are at this particular moment right here.
Bad decisions, hasty decisions, too fast, and affects the next 20 years of your life because you made the wrong decision. If you'd have just waited, got all your information together, settled yourself, you'd have been better. What makes us make these fast decisions? Fear?
It takes discipline to face your fears so you can conquer them. And that's what discipline is. Discipline means taking the hard road, the uphill road, to do what's right. And regret, in and of itself, it's worthless. So learn and move on.
There are moments that try the human soul so violently and so perplexing that if the truth were told, all of us have had moments that we wanted to throw up our hands and walk away. Particularly painful is discouragement in the life of the believer, because as we travel from season to season, it is not just the perils that we face, but it is seeing the wicked go forward while the righteous are held back. Discouragement can creep in secretly, hide behind clothes, makeup, hairdos. Discouragement is so bold that it will even hide behind a smile. It will always ride to work with you, and if it doesn't catch a ride going to work, it'll catch a ride on the way back home. Discouragement will go into a tent. It will walk right into a Section 8 neighborhood. But don't think that it stops Discouragement will walk right into a middle-class house. It won't just stop there. It'll go in a mansion. And tell you life is not worth living. If you listen at discouragement, it will cause you to make bad decisions. It will cause you to think that life is not worth living. And secretly, behind the facade of a smile and a good morning and a praise the Lord and a how are you, you will wonder if you're ever going to get out of what you're into.
One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you're happy, and sometimes you're sad. Now that's that thing called life. And when we begin to understand and know that, accepting that reality, that we will never ever have things just on an even keel all the time, that you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the work is. Anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, they have happy relationships, the children are acting normal, business is successful. Anybody could be positive then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. See, but the real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down. Adversity introduces a man to himself or a woman. How you handle it, that's where the growth takes place.
The ability to learn to say no and not to feel guilty about it, to me, is about the greatest success I have achieved. It's all a part of a process for growing for me. To me, to have the kind of internal strength and internal courage it takes to say, no, I will not let you treat me this way, is what success is all about. I will not be treated this way. I demand only the best for myself.
As you might imagine, I don't think we should spend a lot of time regretting the choices we've made in the past. To spend time brooding over how things went, that's an illusion. What you're doing is suffering pointlessly in the present under the shadow of certain memories. You're telling yourself a story about something that might have been over and over again. How long do you want to do that for?
And sometimes life is going to knock you down. But because you have been knocked down don't mean that you are finished. No. You got some reasons. It might be your own sense of pride and determination in the kind of life that you want to create.
There are people in their 30s and 40s who are still acting like adolescents. And there are even people in their 40s and 50s who are still acting like babies as far as their attitude toward responsibility is concerned. But the large number of people who shirk responsibility can also provide opportunities for you if you are determined to be different. If you decide to be one of the few who embraces responsibility, you can lead, and you will deserve to lead. Churchill said responsibility is the price of greatness. And in my opinion, it's really a rather small price to pay. It means, first of all, that you accept the consequences of your actions. Responsibility means you look to yourself as the source of everything that happens to you. It means that you assume command, regardless of the hardships you may have undergone early in life, or the dozens of people who may have failed to understand you. I'm saying that regardless of the presence of those negative influences in your life, the best thing you can do, the strongest thing, the most empowering thing, and ultimately the wisest thing, is to accept responsibility for your own destiny, plain and simple. If you have enough reasons, you can do the most incredible things. Here's what you might be lacking: a long enough list of reasons. Reasons that drive you, reasons that get you up a little extra early, reasons that keep you up a little extra late. That's what makes the difference.
You should always make decisions with your heart and soul. You can use your brain for math, but when it comes to the actual feel of the decision, you always want to go inward and check it against your heart and soul. Here's the simple test. Does the decision that you're about to make expand you, expand your future, or expand the possibilities of your life? If the answer is yes, then the decision is yes, no matter how terrifying it is.
Other than death, all failure is psychological. Other than death, all failure is psychological. Does not mean that you won't lose some battles, because you will. We all will. But it does mean that as long as you don't surrender, as long as you don't quit, then you haven't failed.
Here are some action exercises that you can do. Make a decision today to invest in yourself and getting better, as if your future depends on it, because it does. Identify the most important skills you have that determine the quality and quantity of results you get at your work, and make a plan to get better in each one. Set excellent performance in your work as a goal, and then determine exactly what you will need to do every day to join the top 20% or better in your field.
Sometimes I see people succeeding who didn't pray nearly as hard, work nearly as long, and it seems like they seemingly have moments of victory in close proximity so I could see it. Not while I am having a similar experience, but while all hell has broken loose in my life and I am going through agony and tragedy, seemingly they are having victory and triumph. And if you are not careful, the very sight of their prosperity becomes your agony. And seeing them go forward will be a source of such continued frustration that it is not your test that baffles you, but their success agonizingly displayed before you makes you despair of life, until David says in 37:1, fret not thyself over evildoers, how they prosper in their own way, they shall soon be cut off. He says, in other words, don't make a permanent decision over a temporary circumstance. He says, don't allow a moment of agony to make you draw a conclusion about life prematurely.
I was going through a major challenge in my life that was wearing me out, that was using me. And one of my students told me in a class that I was teaching, Lessons in Truth, she said, Les, until you handle it with grace, it will stay in your face. And it stayed there a long time. Are you going through it, or are you growing through it? Are you bigger and better because of it? Because it's not going to leave you until you grow through it. Are you learning anything, or are you doing it over and over and over again? Insanity is doing the same thing in the same way, expecting a different outcome. The biggest challenge is to know what's happening. This is a part of this thing we call life. This too shall pass. And maintaining perspective, putting it in perspective. How do we get stuck? A friend of mine working on a job, loved the company very much, expected to retire there. And one day they called him in the office, asked him for his badge and identification, told him he was fired and he had to leave then. He was devastated. And if you came anywhere near him, he would tell you his story, as we all have stories. Even when he got a job, he went on the job telling anybody who would listen how they fired him unjustly. And he always ended with, it wasn't fair. Life isn't fair. It's not fair that birds eat worms, and they do.
Don't deviate, don't procrastinate, don't become frustrated. All you have to do to win this battle is stay on track.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
I fought a good fight. I fought for my kids, and I fought for what was right, and I fought for my good health, and I fought for a good career that would bless my family. I fought a good fight. The encroachment Opposites are in conflict, and we're in the middle. And if you want something valuable, you got to fight for it.
You have comeback power when something happens to you. Don't buy into what has happened to you. Buy into, I'm getting up out of here. I'm going to change this situation. This does not work for me, and I don't have the luxury of being depressed. I need to clear my head.
Yes, we can see avoidance of responsibility all the time in both our personal and professional lives. We can see that most people aren't as successful as they wish they were. Do you see there's a connection between these two very common phenomena? I hope you'll understand that it's in your best interests to take responsibility for everything you do. But that's only the beginning. I'm also going to suggest that many times it's even best to accept responsibility for the mistakes of others, especially when you're in a managerial or leadership role.
What do you do when you tried and failed and you want to quit and you want to give up? Sometimes you can be blessed and be unhappy because even though things are going right, they're not going according to what you had believed and expected, and you know that something is missing out of your life.
You got to clear your head so that the decision that you make represents the best in you. Be still and know that you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. You got to assure yourself. You have to encourage yourself. You have to clear your mind.
The great thing about excuses, and the really dangerous thing about them, is that no matter what happens, excuses are always there waiting to be used. But the downside of excuses, even good ones, is that nobody really believes them. If you make excuses, they're going to know it, and they're going to think less of you. But if you refuse to rely on excuses, people are going to know that too, and they'll admire you for it. This is especially true in business. One of the classic examples happened about 15 years ago. A widely advertised healthcare product from a leading manufacturer was shown to be unsafe, and the company responded by pulling every single box off the shelves at a cost of millions of dollars. Was the company destroyed? Hardly. If they had done anything else, there would have been a tremendous loss of confidence. Instead, there was honest acceptance of responsibility for a mistake. Contrast this with what happened recently to a leading manufacturer of computer chips. When a new microprocessor didn't perform up to expectations, the company made excuses. It was a minor problem, something that would crop up once in a lifetime, and so forth. Were these excuses valid? Maybe, maybe not. But it doesn't really matter, does it? So many people use excuses, but nobody really buys them. That accepting responsibility is one of the highest forms of human maturity. To put yourself on the line, a willingness to be accountable, is really the defining characteristic of adulthood. Anyone who has raised children knows how true this is. Just look at a baby during the first few years of life. Every facial expression, every tentative word has one message for the baby's parents. I am totally dependent on you. I can't be held responsible for the consequences. I can't do anything for myself even if I try. After all, I'm just a baby. 10 or 12 years later, of course, as the boy or girl enters adolescence, this message to the parents will be very different. It will sound something like this: I want to be totally independent. Why don't you just leave me alone? I don't want to do anything but think about myself. I certainly don't want to accept any responsibility. It's only when we're at last grown up that the first two messages, I'm totally independent of you and I'm totally dependent on you, finally turn into you can depend on me, which is the truly adult outlook.
The night seasons are not the end. The bad breaks, the disappointments, that's simply another step on the way to your destiny.
But let me tell you what ought to cause great joy to come to your life is if you'd stop comparing yourself to other people and you would just remember where you came from and remember where you started. You're doing more. You're seeing more. You're achieving more. But if you start comparing yourself with someone else, you can get discouraged because they're doing more maybe than you're doing.
Sooner or later, all of us face situations in which we must decide whether to accept responsibility for a problem or look for ways to avoid responsibility. Let's look at the various options and decisions that are now open to you. First, there's the role played by intention. In other words, was the outcome of your action what you intended it to be? And if it was not, should you still accept responsibility for that outcome? This is a very serious issue in the way we think about responsibility. In many areas of criminal law, for instance, the intention to commit a crime must be present in order for the accused to be held criminally responsible. This intention is something quite different from mere negligence. But we don't have to enter a courtroom to see the important role intention plays in accepting responsibility ourselves or assigning it to others. Don't you remember when you were a kid and you left the screen door open so that the cat ran outside and was lost all afternoon? What did you say to avoid responsibility? You said, it was an accident. You said, I didn't mean to do that. As I pointed out earlier, there are lots of people who still use these childlike rationalizations well into their middle age. But if and when you decide you want to be an adult, you begin to see the whole question of intention as nothing more than another opportunity for excuse making, and you should refuse to participate in it.
If you get beat, unless you're dead, you are not defeated, and you have not failed. What you've done is you've learned. You've gained experience, and you're still alive. So get up and go get after it.
Stay right here on Faith Street, y'all. The box you asked for is coming. Everything on my vision board I get. I built on my house one time. My wife wanted a special kind of car. And I built the garage, the extra garage on the house. She came out there and saw them. She said, Steve, what are you doing? I said, I'm building an extra garage. She said, Steve, we got enough cars. What do you need with another garage? I said, don't worry about it. 2 years went by. I had been looking for this car. I went to dealerships. They said, sir, there are none in that color. I said, she want a white. I said, so I went to the dealership. I said, I want you to get this car in for my wife. She said, sir, there are none in the country and none being made. I said, okay. But when the car come in, could you accept it into your dealership and call me when it gets here? He said, sir, I done told you. I can pull it up on the computer. There are no cars in that color, that make or model. Do you want another color? I said, no, my wife wants white. She said, sir, we don't have that. I said, I've already built the garage. I've already built the garage. All my garages have chandeliers in them. I don't have doors that go over. All my cars have chandeliers hanging over. And I have marble floors in my garage. I like stuff like that because I saw it one time. So I said, I've already built the garage. He said, sir, there are no cars like that anywhere in the computer base. I said, I just need for you when the car comes in. So a year went by. I said, any word on the car? He said, no, I've called the factory. They're not even making it anymore in that color. I said, okay, I'm looking for this color right here. He said, sir, we don't have it. I said, I'm going to give it to her for her birthday, October 10th, 2016. He said, sir, that's impossible. I said, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's just a car that I'm asking for in a particular color. How that's impossible? He said, sir, I can't find the car. I ain't asked you to. I asked you when it come through, would you accept it into your dealership and call me? That's all I asked you for. 2 weeks before my wife's birthday, I got a phone call. It was Perillo from Gold Coast in Chicago. He said, Steve Harvey. He said, are you sitting down? I said, no, I'm standing up. What's that? He said, you're not going to believe this. A guy bought a car a year ago. It's been sitting in his garage. It has 8 miles on it. He brought it to me to turn in to me and asked him, how much would I give him for it? I said, what is it? He said, it's the white car you've been looking for. I said, I'll be up there to get it. He said, this is unbelievable. I said, that God I serve, he's an unbelievable God. I don't listen to what nobody tell me. Once I write it down, I write the vision and make it plain, it will come. Surely it will come at an appointed time. It doesn't matter that nobody sees it. It doesn't matter that it's visible to other people. All you got to do is write it down and believe it. God is greatness, man, all day long. What he's done for me, he'll do the same thing for you. But you got to write the vision. Go home and read Habakkuk 2:2. Go home and read Bible verse Habakkuk 2:2. I'm going to give you the 2 scriptures that changed my entire life. Now, I had heard these scriptures growing up, but it didn't sit with me until I was homeless. The first scripture, you have not because you ask not. Now listen to me. I cannot tell you how important that single scripture is. A lot of the problems I was having, and you may be having just like me, is because what I was asking God for was the wrong stuff. I kept going to him too small. I was praying for stuff that really didn't need that much of a prayer. Lord, help me make my rent. Well, don't he always? Don't you always get your rent? What about if you change that? Suppose you said, Lord, help me make my mortgage. You think God don't know you ain't got the down payment? You really think God don't know you need another job? He know all of that. But if you don't ask him for it, he can't. God don't give you what you want. He give you what you believe. See, you've been blowing it. If you up your ass, he ups his gill. That's his promise. You have not because you ask not. Lord, help me fix my car so I can make it to work. Stop praying over these raggedy cars. Why don't you ask God for a car that don't need fixing? Oh, you think that's too big for him? Is that it? So you don't ask this great God for big stuff because you don't see how you can get it. You're not supposed to see how you can get it. You're just supposed to ask him for it. See, the how-to is none of your business. You keep getting in the way of the blessing because you all up in the how-to part of it. Show me the scripture where he tells you to figure out how to do anything. He don't ask you to how-to nothing. You have not because you ask not. Second, you don't have it written down. Everything you're asking God for, it has to be written down. This is not a theory. This is another scripture. I'm going to give it to you. It's in your Bible. Habakkuk 2:2. It says, write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarries, that means take a long time. Wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. That's in your Bible. That's in the copy you got. That ain't in the rich people's Bible. That's in the copy you got. It's in the drawer at the hotel. It's Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain. Everything you want, you're supposed to write down. I'm telling you, man, this is how it works. You know, some rich people don't really have degrees. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, they ain't got a degree between them. But they got more degrees working for them than a thermometer. Education ain't in the Bible. Harvard is not in there. UCLA is not in the Bible. You just need the word. You need to know what it's saying applied to you. You know why? Because it's a promise of his. He ain't never lied. He always come through. If I was you, I'd try that. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. If somebody came and told me to do that, I would at least give that a try. Those 2 scriptures can change your mind. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. The bigger the stuff you ask God for, the greater the requirements. Now, if you don't want nothing to happen to you, quit asking for stuff. You can simplify your life right now, quit wanting something. But I got to tell you something, bro. That's a hard life, man. You know, the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. But when you ain't got nothing, you know, where my rent coming from? That's every month. You got to figure that out. How we gonna eat? We figuring out how we gonna make these ends meet. Every month, that's hard. So I've been at every economic level there is. I've been stark raving poor, and I've been well off. It's way better to have money. Don't let nobody fool you. I don't know what somebody done told you about money, but I've had none for an extended period of time. I mean, none. Now, you got some problems with money that you can't imagine. When you get it, you gonna have. It ain't a week go by, I don't get 2 to 3 pieces of bad news. But you know what I do? I take all that bad news with the knowledge that God must have something else for me. I live my life in expectation. Therefore, guess what? He gives me what I expect. I expect a life of abundance. You think they take this show from under me? You think I'm finna crumble? Don't even worry about Steve Harvey. Don't you know he got something else for me? Something way bigger, something way better. The people make decisions, they think they crumbling me all the time. They've been making decisions about me for years out here. They can't do nothing with me. I keep showing up over and over and over and over. I'm from Welch, West Virginia. I grew up in the hood. I've been shot. I've been laying on the street that's named Steve Harvey Boulevard. On the street they said I was dying on. They thought I wasn't going to get up out that street. That same block I was dying on is named after me now. You can't tell me nothing about what God can't do. God do the impossible, man. See, I expect great things to happen to me, even in the midst of trouble. I dare you to start writing everything down you want. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you to call. You look, man, if you call out God on his word, you better be ready. Because you're about to get checked. If you call him out on his promise, he gonna check you. I've been checked over and over and over till I got it. I don't even fool around no more. I go to God, I ask him for it. Then I write it down. Maybe you just want $100,000 a year. Put it down. Maybe you're just trying to do something nice for your kids or your grandkids. Write it down. How much you want to make a year? How much would you like to see in a savings account? Write this stuff down. This is critical information. It's not a magic trick, man. Quit tripping. This is real. This is how it works. Rich people do this all the time. We ain't out here just making paper because we that good at it and God love us more than he love you. That ain't why we getting it. We getting it because we understand the principles of success and we apply them to our life. Don't let these rich people out here fool you. All these people out here got vision boards. They might not tell you about God, but that's their problem. I don't do nothing without mentioning him because I would be nothing without him. I'm awash without the Lord. Do you hear me? I'm nothing without him. I'd still be living in the car if it wasn't for him. But he came and he got me because I kept asking him over and over and over and over. I dare you to go home and call him on his word. Now, be prepared now. You're going to get checked. He going to check you because you don't question it.
Whatever position you find yourself in today, we put ourselves there by a series of thoughts and actions. Thoughts turn into things. That's very important to know. So let's look at both sides of it. For people who think negative thoughts, it turns into negative things. And the direct opposite is true for those who think positive thoughts. It turns into positive things. That's the deal. It's as simple as that, folks. Thoughts become things. So the one glaring question for all of us always is on a daily basis, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Because this is a fact of life. This is biblical. This is spiritual. This is written. This is philosophical. This is the law of the universe. This is just the way it is. Now, and here the cold part, folks. It don't matter if you believe me or not. It does not matter if you have never been explained this or not. And it does not matter if you think it works in your life or not. It don't matter. Listen to me. It is the way it is. It's just whatever the law of the universe, you call whatever you want to call. However you got to dress this thing up, because this is all it is. So when I say that you are where we are today because we thought ourselves here, oh, you best to believe that's true. You thought yourself here, no one else. See, let me explain something. I got people around me who so badly want to take credit for it, but I don't allow it. Because I keep pointing to the heavens. By grace and mercy, by blessings from God, my life is because God has seen it to be so. Oh, but I got plenty of people around me who want credit for it and want you to not give credit to God and give it to them. I got that. But it's okay. It's so clear to me what my father was saying to me, man. I get it as I get older and older. People come into your life for seasons, and I guess that's the same thing. You know, they season up, they gone. Well, you know, here the way they try to hold you, though. Oh, you gonna forget where you come from? Oh, you ain't gonna keep it real no more? I don't wanna go back where I come from. I don't wanna keep it that real no more. It was real enough for me living in a car. I had enough of that real. Now I don't keep it real. I wanna go keep it dreamy. I want to go keep it fantasizing. I want to keep it out of this world. I want to see what that's like. So, no, I ain't going to forget where I come from, but you ain't going to hold me to that day. Thoughts become things. Where are the things that you want written down? What do you think about the most? How grateful are you for what all God has done? Where you at with that? If all you thinking about is your debt, if all you thinking about is what you ain't got, if all you thinking about is every time I turn around I'm sick, if all you thinking about is the things in life that you're lacking, and if thoughts become things, how much debt you think you're going to stay in? How much lacking you think you're going to feel in your life? How much more stuff you finna not have? Because you keep thinking about it all the time. When you going to be grateful? When you gonna say thank you? When it's gonna come out your mouth, man, that I may not be where I want to be, but I sure am grateful for what you've given me so far, for the things I have today, because I don't have to have these things. You know what that does? That then opens up room for more stuff to come your way to be grateful for. If you're ungrateful for the things we got, if we can't show no gratitude for what we have, why would God give us some more stuff to be ungrateful for? What would he do that for? Ta-da! Anybody feel me right now? Because I want you to feel me. I want you to understand and come to the understanding. Not saying you ain't, because there's so many people got a deeper understanding than me about this whole thing. I promise you they do. And listen to me. I'm just trying to get you to walk up in this light, man, so you can go on with your life and quit tripping yourself out with your thoughts, because thoughts become things.
TV to me is just, what do I really think? I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And then, you know, if you don't like that, tune in tomorrow. That's the thing about opinions, man. Everybody's entitled to them. I was watching Joel Osteen on TV one day, and he said, people's opinion of you is none of your business, nor should you make it yours. You get in a lot of trouble worrying about what somebody think about you, when really, what difference do it make? Whether they wrong or right, and what difference do it make? The majority of people who have a negative viewpoint of you really don't even know you. What I found about being successful is, it wasn't me who changed. It was people's opinion of me that changed. You know, I got more, and I'm the same dude, but your opinion of me has changed. Now you think I think I'm all that, when in actuality, I really am humbled by all this. I really can't believe God let me have this. I really do understand that I am here but by the grace of God. I'm clear about that. I am so clear about that. It ain't me. It's not me. See, I know the decisions I made, and I know how it got me where I got to. I know how my life turned out when I gave it over to him. I gave my life to God. Now, I may not be the Christian you think I ought to be, but once again, your opinion of me, it doesn't matter to me. I've just learned not to allow people opinion of me to bother me or stop me. Publicly, man, I've been ridiculed and ate alive on that internet. You this, he think he this, I can't stand him. He this, he that. You know, I've been everything on the internet. I don't care. When you get through reading that stuff, cut your TV on. Turn it to almost any channel you want to. 7 days a week. The little dude that you keep hating on, that God I serve, he ain't hated me yet. He ain't hated me not now time. And I've discovered something. Look, man, what God got for you, nobody, no hater, no employer, no co-worker can stop nothing God has for you. God is in the blessing business, but better than that, he's in the forgiving business. See, if God wasn't a forgiving God, I'm not here today. But God had to forgive me over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I can't count the times he done forgave me. See, I just never let my failures define me. See, when you make a mistake, just get up and go again. What you tripping for? I made public mistakes. Let me tell you something, man. When Miss Universe, I have to apologize. I took that myself. You know how many people wrote me off? You know how many letters I got from TV execs? We're proud of you for doing the right thing, but oh my God, a horrible mistake. I hope you're gonna be okay. You hope I'm gonna be, what, my career over because of that? People wrote me off. You know what, I just got up. I kept coming to work. I just kept coming. I kept showing up. Because eventually, well, what you gonna do? The time has come. You know, my father used to always tell me something. You're gonna either get over it or die mad. You got two choices. You can get past it or you can die mad. Now, if you want to die mad, carry your ass on. And just die mad. But God forgave me, so I got up and I kept going. Your mistakes don't define you. Life is 10% what happened to you, is 90% what you do about it. I just stood up like I had some dignity. And I just kept performing, kept telling jokes, kept entertaining people. To the point now where it don't even matter. That pageant is the biggest pageant they've ever had. Everybody tune in and see who the f*** I'm gonna say this year. Just keep living, y'all. Keep waking up in the morning.